It's Shanghai with a purpose. It's Shanghai at night, fun fact. And every time I tell you what you're looking at, it's the pond, it's the big long walkway next to the river, and a beautiful sight to behold if you're ever in Shanghai. Hello and welcome back to the desk, though, for the LPL English. My name's Jake Meiko, joined by Mr. Clement Chu. And in this third game, we get an answer as to who's playing their bloody best, Clement, because let me tell you one thing. EDG in Game 2 was not the EDG we saw in Game 1.
Definitely wasn't. They made a lot more mistakes, and the draft was a bit suspect. This time, again, we're having Rogue Warriors on the blue side, and I want to see if they actually try to target out the Aatrox, because I don't think they've had a great answer to the Aatrox so far. It hasn't been the win or break situation to the Aatrox, but something does have to change here. I'd like to see them just take it out and have some other counter picks.
Which is the first time in a series in the LPL that Aatrox has not made or broken a game. Because every time we see Aatrox, it is just such a big impact. And we're taking a look at how this Aatrox was just so far ahead. When you see a Fiora with 2 items, you're like, yeah, she wins.
I was actually very surprised at how one-sided this one was. You can tell that Holders were only 1 level up and sitting on 2 items alongside the Fiora. But he didn't lose any HP winning that duel. Yeah. That was Grand Challenge proc, and Fiora was nowhere near.
Death Dance with World Ender, like your lifesteal and Spellvamp is insane.
Yeah, that was pretty insane, and a good reason why that Aatrox should not be seen anymore.
Yes, yes, very true. See if EDG banned it away, but more to my suspect. Let's throw up our MVP, by the way, because as a side note, this one was very well deserved from Rogue Warriors. If Haro didn't get it, you'd hear me say those exact same words, but Game 2, this is exactly who should get it.
He learned from the master himself. He's a pupil of Clear Love, so he knows the level 2 gank all too well, and that was exactly the right idea. One of EDG's biggest weaknesses is if the bot lane falls, they do start to lose a lot of their ability to play make. Their shot calling goes down because Meiko's also in that lane. Right. And if you just focus that on the Xayah and Yuumi early, it was a very smooth path to victory there.
And one that Rogue Warriors can now capitalize on. They got their first ever game win here in the LPL
Smiles.
Summer. And they should be happy because Rogue Warriors going forward, taking a look at Holder, Haro. They should be pretty happy because that game was the best they've ever played. And let's see if Game 3, they can play on that and actually get a win against EDG, which is one of our playoff teams.
Yeah, this is going to make a lot of EDG fans very nervous out there. Going 3 losing matches in a streak is a huge morale killer. Yep. And it also signals the potential return of someone.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
we've seen in previous splits.
Daddy will be home, or at least he'll be coming home. This is the start of expectations being thrown out the window. Whether we go ahead with it or not, whether we get into Champion Select and find ourselves in a very different game. Remember, for EDG, just speaking on that loss streak, IG, WE, and Rogue Warriors, another team to take them to that game number 3. It's just night and day from Game 1 and Game 2, so I'm not sure what to expect anymore.
Yeah, what we've seen from EDG games is either they are very consistent, they do a full map press well, and they dominate the game, or else they start making mistakes here and there in the mid-game. A lot of them communications, being a little bit too greedy here at places, and it all falls apart. And with EDG, with the way they draft, if things don't go well in the mid-game, oftentimes you can see a sudden flip where they start losing the game. They don't draft for that late-game teamfight ability, and their compositions work much better in the pre-20-minute section of the game. So I want to see if EDG can actually tighten themselves up and just play a cleaner game. That's always been kind of their issues that they've been plaguing them.
But it shouldn't be with the new team, right? The identity's changed so much in the top side on that, with Jiejie coming in instead of Clear Love. And with, in this third game, by the way, no change-ups, of course. With Jinoo coming into the top side, they've changed a core part. And they've cleaned it up a lot more, so I'm surprised that Game 2 we saw more of like, okay, the back and forth EDG that I thought was lost to the wind.
Yeah, I hope that resolution wasn't high enough. Yeah. EDG is going to be complaining about that one.
I saw it the other day, getting very frisky with the camera work.
Yeah. Just try to keep them away from those death notes as far as possible. We don't actually want to know your trade secrets. We want to predict them and act smart.
Sets the camera angle and like, oh, the book's there. Whoopsie doodle. Stop it. Cameraman. just adding insult to injury at this point. Now people are just holding in. And I missed this part. Let me see what I can find.
So from what we've seen in the bans, we've seen Aurelia, Aatrox, and Ryze be the consistent ones for EDG to try and target out. While on the other hand, it has been Olaf being taken out for Rogue Warriors. So you don't want Jiejie getting their hands onto that. The general position I'm seeing is that EDG are a little bit more frightened about Rogue Warriors' solo laners. They know that those are the lanes that can kind of get away with things in the early game. So heavy targets on those sides. But I want to see if they change tack a little bit and allow those to go through, but try to counter them somehow.
And even though this final game you said is going to be about the AD carries, this series has been in part about the solo laners and the influence from Haro and Jiejie. So in a way, like, I know we've sent you everywhere, ladies and gentlemen, but the junglers have been at the core of this. The junglers have been the influencing factor at the end of the day. Jiejie game 1 was so far ahead, dominated the bot side of the map, and EDG flourished. Last game, Haro just smacked down the bottom side, and they couldn't get back up. So game number 3, look at the jungle matchup, see what happens. Chinese caster sitting down on the job. How dare you? Get up! It's game 3! Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey.
He just saw himself on the shot. It's like, wait a minute, I'm on camera right now?
Oh my god, what's going on? Let's get into it, Clement.
Okay, great. Aatrox being taken away from EDG,
What a start.
from Rogue Warriors. I love that. I don't think they had a great answer to that. Force the enemy to play another jungler, so they're at least taking away the Gragas plus Yasuo combo.
I also like the Karma taken away here. Now, Jinoo's not going to get that opportunity here in game 3. Picked it up towards the top side in game 1 and absolutely nuked with it. So I'm not looking forward to that again because you won't see it, but ZWuji taken. What's going to be picked up here? Because this pick and ban already looks a lot more standard.
You know what this means? This means Jiejie versus Haro. Let's go Conquerors, Mono Conquerors, and just fight it out in the jungle. None of these ganking jungler shenanigans. You know, we're going up like men. We're going up in a 1v1, and Shaco is not the champion I want.
And first time that Rogue Warriors in this series are going on the blue side. So they take the Olaf away. And that's exciting to see because it's been such a powerful pick for Jiejie.
Oh, they were on blue side last time as well.
Oh, I beg your pardon. So deniability still for Jiejie, but it reminds me of that game 1 where EDG blue side, they picked it up. And this time it's going to be the Yuumi in game 2 for Meiko. Now, Clement, weak side, strong side. Let's start building that comp.
Yeah. With the Yuumi first pick, a lot of teams do this, but you have to be very aware of the AD carries you want to go with it. So a lot of times, I would not be surprised to see just an AD carry instantly locked in here. Just make sure that you have that combo on lockdown. The best champions that are still up for it, I think Sivir is going to be the main one. Giving someone Sivir Olaf never feels like a good idea.
Nope.
They're leaving that one open, so potentially if they get Sivir, their EDG could be thinking that we get iBoy Lucian, and that's still a great matchup.
Oh, but this one was banned away before. Red side ban, of course. Renekton left open, Holder's best champion by far, and HuaTian will also play this mid.
Yes, so this is a great chase counter pick. It doesn't matter which lane the Aurelia goes into. If I pick a double flex that can play in both lanes, then I can chase you whichever lane you want to go. So I really love this Renekton pick, and EDG have to think about something to either switch it around and hold down the mid the mid side. Because if they have a weak mid and a weak bot, we've said what happens with the Yuumi lane. It collapses very easily.
You did say.
I like the idea here. So this Aurelia is most likely still going to be mid, but at least they're going to have a much safer bot lane that doesn't need to be babysitted.
Yeah, because Ezreal pairs so well with the Yuumi as is, and with ZWuji and Killua, we saw this same matchup flourish, but they just couldn't get past that mid-game. So good to see iBoy and Meiko adapting it here in game number 3. Noted that the Alistar gets picked up in the first rotation, which is strange to see, but not for Rogue Warriors, considering how their comp's shaping up and how they've played the Yasuo, how they've played a lot around the all-in potential that Killua can now provide.
Yep, potential top and top mid and AD carry still to be decided from Rogue Warriors. Usually against an Ezreal, you want something with strong wave clear potential. The Xayah is actually not a great pick into the Ezreal most of the time, just because Xayah versus Ezreal, most of the time, you don't get to use your Blade Caller whatsoever. You're missing a big chunk of your damage when you're fighting against a poke champion. So it's going to be interesting to see what ZWuji actually does here. Now, we actually have seen him go for the Vayne route, which is pretty unorthodox.
Well, to some people, but in the LPL, it's still that niche champion that fits into some compositions.
Yep, and they're still taking away Ryze from Holder. This is one of Holder's actually best champions, so I understand this situation. Rise, to me, is still almost no counter whatsoever. Nico's gone from the matchup. You don't want to give him that. And EDG are still trying to target down the mid laner, even though the Aurelia most likely will still be heading mid.
Wouldn't be surprised if we start looking at maybe the A or B tier flexes here, like Camille. Of course, the jungle Jarvan's still open there for Jiejie. He's lost his Olaf. What's he going to take into it? Will he go for the flexible matchup? Will he go for the challenge? He's thinking about it.
Jarvan's the pick that can negate Olaf the most in terms of team fights, but not necessarily the one you want when you're already losing your potential mid lane. He's not going to be able to match up against Olaf. Actually, Lee Sin does that a bit better, so they're going to hold on to their cards, see how the lanes actually pan out. And for Rogue Warriors, this pretty much forces Renekton towards the mid lane. Renekton versus Kennen, not a great matchup for the Renekton.
Yep. If anyone's confused, LPL flexes Renekton to the mid lane quite often, so I always need to keep people in the loop with that. You don't like the Xayah, Clement. I know you just got to hate for this champion in this series, but I think he's got a 100% loss ratio in this series, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think it's the champion pick itself, but Xayah is a champion that does need to play within, does depend on the enemy composition to do most of her work, and the way EDG are shaping up their comp, they can stay at an arm's distance and deal damage.
Now, this would work really nicely with Xayah in the composition as well. The Rumble locked in. We still don't know where the Renekton's going because, remember, I talked about it being flexed to the mid lane, but we've seen more Rumble mid so far.
Yes, Rumble does have a very bad reputation in the LPL overall. You just saw a 14% win rate. I actually prefer my Rumbles mid rather than top lane. Okay. But in this scenario, I think it's okay top. The reason I'm saying this is because he does have the shove against the Kennen. Even though it's a long lane and he gets ganked easier, having that shove is better than sending Renekton up there where he just can't get purchase in the matchup. So I like what they're doing here. Renekton mid still up against the Aurelia. You're going to win that. You're going to have strong mid jungle and then just shove in the top side. Bot lane can scale on, play very defensively, and again, you're trying to find fights in EDG's red side map.
So now it's left up to Jiejie once again then. He's going to have to play towards that red side. He's going to have to play towards a couple of lanes. His solo laners that are going to be on the weaker side. And although for someone like, you said it was going to be bot lane focus, remember, iBoy and Meiko, although they have a better lane this time around, it doesn't mean that Haro's not going to make his visit.
Definitely true. I think he's going to have a harder time actually finding the kills down in the bot lane, but this one should still mainly be around the top side. And I think I want to clarify my statements on Rogue Warriors, is that the main damage dealer is ZWuji. If that lane goes poorly, they typically can't find a way in team fights to then win the matchup back. But if you talk about their playstyle and which lanes they actually focus the most, it's actually still towards the top side. They still play towards their solo lanes in terms of jungle resources.
Yeah. It's once again left to the discretion of junglers, though. That's what it all comes down to. You know, you can focus on those individual lanes and say, right, matchup's going to go this way. But at the end of the day, Game 2 was decided by Haro. Game 1 decided by Jiejie. Going into this game number 3, you've got an Olaf versus a J4. And Scout confident enough to pick up this Aurelia after what was a Game 2 base check into the Dragon. It wasn't a good look, but he still made that 1v2 outplay, that 2v2 outplay, excuse me. You're looking for individuality once again through EDG. But for Rogue Warriors, they've got the taste of their first game win in the LPL. They want to go even further. They can smell it. They can feel it. They feel the first series win here in the LPL summer, running in to Game 3.
Just clarifying the compositions. Uh-oh.
Clement? Yes.
Uh-oh.
All right, now we can stop the crowd chant. Caught out by Haro. That's a flash forward. HuaTian, the heel burnt. Undertow and flash from Haro. They want this chase up. It's Scout caught up. Slowed down again. You know another Undertow's coming. You know the Ignite's there. Scout gets it, and HuaTian gets his blood.
That was a very smart play by Rogue Warriors. They anticipate the invade coming in from a Kleptomancy Ezreal plus Yuumi, and they just wait and set the trap. They wait until EDG walk in, and then they collapse.
And giving the Renekton, who was already in a good lane, first blood, that sucks for Scout.
Everyone is here. We talked about bot lane fight, and there's 10 people on this side of the map now.
Jiejie starting with flag because he needs to. Scout and HuaTian are going to try and gang up now on Jinoo. Rather other way around. HuaTian getting low. They're poking him down. The smite goes down. Blue buff gives Haro level 2. They flash on top of Scout. No! He's going to die a second time. A great Falls duet, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Undertow connects. HuaTian gets him a second time. ZWuji caught out as well, so iBoy at least gets a trade. But this crazy early game gives 2 kills to a Renekton mid.
This is ridiculously bad with how the kill distribution actually went down. HuaTian picking up both of them, faster Tiamat, very early wave clear, and Olaf has the deciding advantage against a Jarvan. EDG are basically in a heap of trouble at this point.
Curdle has never been more wrong. That should be blue now. That should be as blue as the sky.
You know what? You have to give the Colonel a break. He probably builds these graphics before we actually load into the game.
And he's like, man, what did I just do? You know, I made a mistake. 2-0, as I mentioned there before. HuaTian didn't have a chance to back. He ran straight to lane, and he's already 10 CS up.
Yeah.
Welcome to hell.
And his Scout is so easy to gank at this point. He can never actually walk out past the river. So I really expect you to see Haro just go in very early on and start to pressure.
Around the top side right now after that hectic start. Look at the summoners that have been burnt. On Rogue Warriors, for good reason. No flashes except for holders available. So with those key summoners being down, now it's up to Jiejie to be active. But even his lanes, Exhaust was used, Flash and Teleport by Scout, Teleport by Jinoo. So there is still a disadvantage here for EDG, but one that Jiejie needs to play up to, and Jinoo here making the roam is exactly what he needs to do. But the Flawless duet doesn't connect. Jinoo going to try and force him out of lane, but they're going to sandwich him as the jungler. HuaTian playing this so nicely. Slice and dices away. That was slick. Teleport coming in from Holder, and this fight is only just beginning. Onto Scout, they find the Comet. It's Holder here who's got the damage burst, but the bottom lane joins. It's a Yuumi. Still for Rogue Warriors, they're the ones getting engaged on. It's their time that is getting better used.
Yeah, that was so good from HuaTian. He actually gets a blind slice and dice. The first slice over the wall onto Kennen allows him to get his escape. A bit of luck, a bit of skill, a bit of anticipation there to get him out of that situation. And EDG just can't find anything back. It was a great idea from Jinoo. I love that play. Yep. And they get a teleport for it. But unfortunately, not enough to get them back.
They were trying to change these lanes. They were trying to put HuaTian at a deficit after what a great early start he's had. And also pick up some of that bounty this early on. Would have been 450 gold to kick them off. But they're unable to find it, and HuaTian just goes back to denying the Aurelia farm. Still at that 10 CS lead. Holder moves back to the top side because Kennen moved to the play, had to back. And Holder just walked back topside. Now he's got a CS lead himself.
Yeah, they actually did force a teleport out of Holder in that play, so it was not all for naught.
Speaking of nothing, though, Scout is going to feel the big wrath of nothing. That's Haro with an undertow.
He needs to get out.
Take another one. Haro doesn't have a summoner, but Jiejie just flag and drags on the spot. Haro hits him once, twice. You know what? Have another axe. Go home.
Yeah, and that's goodbye to your Gromps. That's exactly what we said was going to be happening in the top side.
And the bottom side. iBoy flashes. Oh my god, Rogue Warriors. This is an even better start than Game 2.
I love that design from Rogue Warriors. That design from Rogue Warriors really tells me that Haro was a great student on EDG.
Yeah.
He knew exactly how EDG was going to set up and think about this game.
Revenge is a dish best served in the early game here against Rogue Warriors and EDG. Game 3, 5 minutes in, 3 kills, and Renekton, who now gets a phage at 5 minutes in. Oh, man. This is your silver climb. You know, that mid laner that you're like, dude, how'd you die twice? You know, you're like, once is acceptable. There's a big invade.
I feel so bad you're calling Scout essentially a silver player.
No, but you know what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah,
like
I know.
The comparison.
I know. It's the game just goes wrong early on. And this is a point where Renekton doesn't even need to go Tiamat. It's like, I'm so ahead of the curve. Actually, raw AD is going to do.
Yeah. Because when you look at EDG, you know, a lot of AD damage there. The Ezreal can, of course, optimize later into the Luden's Echo. But it's easy for HuaTian later on to just go, well, GA, I'm fine. Jinoo is going to be the one pumping out the AP damage. But when a game goes this quickly, you have to look at the early itemization. And look at Haro. Already elite. This is why we talk extensively about how dangerous the Olaf can be in these early games when you want to get that clearing advantage. He has one. He's got a 15 CS lead in the jungle. He's cleared out Raptors. HuaTian's on a roam. Thank you for the melons. And he'll get himself another 30 gold on award. No, he gives it to Haro. He's got enough.
Oh boy, this is a 2-level lead for Haro already, and we do have to remember, he started out with a buff and an extra Raptor camp over Jiejie. Jiejie doesn't see where Haro is. He has to, he can't really take this blue buff.
I think he's going to start up as well. Finally sees Haro in the process. Blue buff pulls away, and Jiejie finally hits level 5, but that's a level 6 Olaf, and he's got a blue jersey on, so he wants a blue buff to go with it.
I like it. Matching colors. You want your accessories to go with the style.
Bottom lane has priority. Killua moves up. Thank you. That's mine. Drop a control ward in there as well. And Jiejie, we sung his praises, but when you go up against someone as experienced as Haro, sometimes, you know, he just fall down.
Yeah, when a level 1 goes this poorly, kind of expect that to happen. So, not much that Jiejie can actually do right here. I wouldn't even stay around this area. What I would do is try to hard farm for 6 and gank.
I was going to say at least it's not that far behind in the gold lead for EDG. They're still catching up. It's the top lane, the Klepto Cannon that is getting some of that gold back on the board. Mid is getting CS, so you take small wins where you can get them here. Rogue Warriors have started up the Dragon. 4 members there, but Holders walk down as well. This is their commitment. There's 5 members at 8 minutes near the Dragon.
They're just showing all of their priority in the lanes, actually.
They're
That's what I'm saying.
alphaing EDG.
The alpha priority lanes. And Jiejie really needs to get 6. This is what he needs to do to come back. He does have a ganking advantage over the Olaf. That's pretty much his only light in the matchup. Even though the gold isn't that far apart because of the top lane and the bot lane kleptomancies, I still wouldn't say that this game's anywhere near even, because the level advantage on Haro is absolutely massive, and I want to see him push this as hard as possible. His next back should just be 2 words, go straight into the enemy jungle and try to find Jiejie.
Yeah, he's got a blue buff to give over if he wants to give it to HuaTian. Probably not. Give it to himself so he can clear even faster. He's got a top side camp. He's got bottom side to himself as well as a red buff there. So he's just going to power through these. And look at what Jiejie's got available. A couple of camps there, and he's probably going to need to look for an entrance into the top lane. Right now, grasping at straws if you're EDG, and if you're an EDG fan, start getting worried because this jungler has been so big here in the LPL, and when an Olaf gets a lead, usually it's fatal.
It definitely is. We're still looking at that over 60% win rate on Olaf.
Getting close to 70, by the way.
It is. Conqueror's build this time around. And the main thing that we've been seeing is that people have been moving away from Cinderhulk, just going onto that Warriors for a long time and then going Black Cleavers. I don't think almost pure damage build.
I think the only person we have seen Cinderhulk from was either Condi before his incident or one of the lower tier teams. But we haven't seen it in a while, Clement, so you're right. So it's just pure Warriors here.
And Conquerors are honestly enough of a health comeback. You do have extra healing from your W as well. So essentially, if you're going full damage build, you still get a lot of bonuses and extra HP just from damage dealt. The Conquerors and your extra healing bonuses. So that's the reason we've been seeing this major shift away from like what used to be the Predators and kind of like Cinderhulk Olaf that's just try to run people down and burn them at the meantime.
And look, Haro, he goes back, picks up Warriors. That was a clear that just set him ahead by 30. Now, Ruby Health Crystal picked up. So Warriors, as I mentioned there before, he doesn't need tier 2 boots. Cinderhulk on the Java, and Jiejie is like, I'm behind. I just need to scale up. I need to be that front line. And moving to the top lane to try and elevate one of his laners is a must. A lane gank seems to be in the path. But look, Killua's here. Because they moved lanes. This is so early, but Rogue Warriors have such a lead, they can do this.
You know, it's a very common build path we see in the LPL. Your bot lane's ahead, just transition that, take Drake, and then go up and take Herald. Double objectives in the same time. And I actually like what Jiejie did here. He did anticipate the move, so you can see the control ward early just to spot all of this out. However, his laners are too far behind. They can't even really try to steal this whatsoever.
All right, Clement, you say that, but there's a teleport coming
there's
up.
double coming. I forgot the Yuumi.
And I forgot that it's EDG we're looking at. True Shot Barrage doesn't tag anyone. Now, Jiejie is level 6, but Killua knocks him in. Remember, the lead is still there. Undertow doesn't connect, but here comes another teleporter response. With a perfect equalizer down. Splits the team in 2. They have nowhere to go, but Rogue Warriors looking for somewhere to go themselves.
Yeah, and EDG are looking to re-engage.
Hey, hello, Jinoo, into 2 members. He finds the slicing Maelstrom, but remember, Olaf getting low means he attacks faster. Still not good for EDG. Cataclysm comes down, and HuaTian is frontlining this one. Give a triple over to Haro, and your nightmare turned into a double back-to-back.
Jinoo idea was okay, but the rest of the team could not follow up through the likes of HuaTian. Renekton just popping his dominance and standing in the middle. I think his AoE damage probably did more than all of his auto attacks combined.
My god, if Haro wasn't already so far ahead, there's a Rift Herald mid. He's going to share the gold with HuaTian. The 2 most fed members are about to get a free bloody buffet.
Ooh. Frontline idea was okay from EDG. Backline, not even close. They just couldn't put the damage down.
Like, at this point, iBoy is going, I got good damage there. And that's all you take away from that. He's the only person with what looks to be a lead after this fight for EDG. Like, yeah, Jinoo. But the rest of EDG, like, we can't.
Oh god, look at Killua. That was such a good knockback onto Jiejie, and he has to use his Cataclysm in a very unoptimal spot. Doesn't have it synced up with the slicing Maelstrom.
I know that if that connected, there was a greater window, Clement. And all part of me said that, you know, maybe EDG could have taken it, but...
Nah, not really. I think HuaTian still would have cleaned them up, but it would have been closer.
I mean, Scout picks out a good Flawless Duet, so the skill's still there for EDG. You're not doubting it, but the early game has punished them so much, and Rogue Warrior is punishing them that much more. 3k gold lead, they've got a Mountain, Clouds there available. And now for map rotations, it's so easy because turret plating's still there for the next 30 seconds. A Rumble can push in, Haro can take this by himself. They can look towards the bottom lane, and EDG have to look at every turn because securing vision now is just that much of an effort.
Yep, Rogue Warriors are transitioning into the 1-3-1 composition. I don't think Aurelia got the Mercs, so she's not gonna have the easiest time against the top lane right here. You can see Holder still having a gold lead over her.
Oh my god. It's 14 minutes in the game. There's a 2,400 gold lead for Haro. That is a 2,000 gold lead for HuaTian. And you look, like I said, iBoy, this game's on you, bro. Jinoo and iBoy need to carry this harder than they've ever carried anything in their life.
Go iBoy. We trust in you.
As 0-3 Aurelia mid, Scout has got a lot of explaining to do and a lot of work to be done here. Nash's Tooth. Sorry, what is that item? I never talk about this item. Stinger.
Yep.
Stinger picked up. That's what he's got.
Unpath Triforce, like the usual. I'm just very curious to see if we're ever going to get a replay of that level 1. I think that's actually the most crucial point in the game right now.
We'll ask our production team after this. Just for you, Clement, we'll get that.
Thank you, thank you. I want to see if Rogue Warriors actually held a trap, or did they just... It's like, hey, look at these people.
Level 1 into an Olaf and Renekton.
Yeah.
Not what you want.
It was risky business, but I understand if they used Prowling Projectile and they didn't see anyone. It was like, oh, there's no one here. Let's walk in.
Black Cleaver now picked up for Haro. So 2-item Olaf, 15 minutes, remember? So he's hyper-accelerated, 113 CS at 15 for the jungler as well. This turret, gold, give it to him as well. Killua's going to join it. This is gone. 1 outer remaining. Well, EDG trying to force down the mid lane now. At least they're trying to get something here, but HuaTian is melee wave clear. They still don't want to deal with him as if you would.
Just taking a look at the build from ZWuji, this is a I want your towers down as soon as possible build. Absolutely no crit, not going for the Essence Reaver as you know, the first rush, but you know, just taking up all the 80 damage and the Berserkers.
ZWuji, he's got Essence Reaver now, Clement.
Yeah, I know he's got it now, but he didn't build it then.
Okay, all right.
All right.
I didn't think he had enough gold. But that's fair. He's got Essence Reaver now anyway. Dagger in there as well for what it's worth. So even though iBoy has a greater gold lead than ZWuji, at this point he's still keeping up. The difference being the Sheen at the moment where iBoy has that in tow, but he's 15 CS ahead. Now maybe it's more to iBoy because my faith in Jinoo has to come through in a big fight. A lot of disengaged potential on the side of Rogue Warriors as well, so it becomes harder for the cannon, but iBoy just got to dance. Really just got to dance.
And these Drakes have just been killing EDG. Another Infernal Drake up in just 2 minutes. I want to see how they set up for this one, if they can find any flanking wards whatsoever. Like, Ezreal Yuumi can actually get a ward down, I think. They have enough mobility to just pop one in and get out. But so far, if that pink ward is taken away, I don't see anything else on the river.
Holder doesn't care. There's a ward in there, by the way. He just walks through anyway. Hello, Jarvan. And where is my blue buff, Haro shouts. Is it here? I'm going to smite the Grop. That'll bring him over. I missed the Q. I'll take that anyway. Holder means he can freely push this turret. Scout left in the top lane, just farming away, still miles away from the Trinity Force at the moment. And a BF sword here for HuaTian, so Spirit Shojin coming second, no doubt. And that second item, let's see if it comes before the Trinity Force on Scout.
Oh, it definitely might. You're looking at the 40% CDR Renekton. A lot of times we actually see the Renekton go for the Spear of Shojin first when playing mid lane. Just the extra mobility, and there's less armor to shred generally when you're playing in the mid lane.
Plus, you get level 6 insane trades. We'll see it second, no doubt. So at this point, you know, when you have double Black Cleaver team, when you got a BF sword as well on Haro, who you expect to be going GA at this point, but I don't know. I haven't seen an Olaf this accelerated in competitive play. So we will find out.
Yeah, we definitely will. And now we see EDG, iBoy trying to get that ward in like we were talking about. They actually found a great one in the bottom of the red side. I believe that was Jiejie placing that one down. So they're set up for the fight.
It's around the Infernal, but the EDG want to take this again. We saw how the last one went. iBoy is the hope of this fight, has the Mirror Mana fully stacked up at 18 minutes. And the Iceborne. The rest of the map has been so heavily focused, but this TP coming in from Scout means that they really want to contest for this next dragon.
Yeah, I think you have to at this point. As crazy as it sounds, things don't get better in the future.
Yep.
So
EDG starting to look for some of that vision, but at the moment, there's no control whatsoever. Rogue Warriors have everything down to a T. Scout coming in around the side as well, but iBoy, if he gets caught out, if the fight goes down, then they're in some serious trouble. HuaTian able to push up the mid lane too, but he might be caught out himself. Flawless Duet onto the Renekton. Can they go forward? iBoy with Arcane Shift, but Jiejie doesn't have a flag and drag. Haro's on the hunt. It eventually lands. Ragnarok attack. Easy as that. 4-0-2 on the Olaf, and HuaTian eventually survives. So 4 versus 5 for EDG to play through, and 1 in front of the Infernal Dragon that they dare not take.
And I just want to say why this one is a must contest for EDG. Now, if they take Infernal plus Mountain right now, it's a very easy transition into Baron in just 1 minute coming up. 2 item spike versus 1. Cool. That's even much harder to play through.
Thought Killua was caught out there for a moment, but no biggie. Flawless Duet going to lock down 1. Haro takes a bit of a chunk, and iBoy and Meiko, the sole bit of damage right now. Even the Trinity Force Aurelia are not doing as much as you would expect here at this point. So Dragon does eventually go down in the end. It's Earth, Wind, and Fire. And look, when is September coming? A long time coming here for EDG, much like the month. Baron now up and available.
So we're just seeing the Baron control rates from Rogue Warriors, 10%, EDG 61%. I have a feeling that those stats are going to change.
Yeah, they're going to change very quickly, Club.
Well this was such a unfortunate
just a tip.
flash. Yeah. That's always something about playing Olaf, is that the range on the Undertow is... Ooh, bye-bye.
Oh, Holder might die here. Actually, hang on. What? Yeah, when you're accelerated and your team's going well, sometimes that can happen. Great equalizer there from Holder. He trades 1 for 1.
Double magic pen, baby.
Now Rogue Warriors can say, you know what? iBoy's not alive. We're in some duty. We can start the Baron.
All right, Jiejie, it's up to you. Can you get that Q over the wall?
Look at Killua. Cat over the wall. They look for the steal. They don't find it. It's secured by the Xayah of all people. So ZWuji, good job. But Haro still has smite.
Okay, close
imagine
enough.
it
worked. It worked.
If final chapter took that, EDG were back in the game.
Oh boy, that would be a final chapter for someone on the team.
I would never believe in Rogue Warriors again if that happened. We'll have a look at how this 1v1 started. Put it full screen, because that was sick. That is Rumble in the mid game with only 1 item and a haunting. Guys, that'll keep happening, won't it?
No, I actually was watching this screen and screen.
I I just saw HuaTian coming down. I'm like, oh god, here we go.
I think Jinoo was on a suicide mission just to chip towers and kind of delay the game.
He wanted that turret badly. Rogue Warriors get another free kill, and Colonel stopped popping up. I'm looking at items. Yeah, now he's flipped.
Yeah, I love how Colonel actually adjusts these in real time.
But he never, you know what? You know what? He never goes 100%. This is a game I would go 98, I reckon.
The highest I've seen is 93.
Yeah. Hold up. Might be caught out again, so maybe 90% is okay. Equalizer comes down, almost takes iBoy with him again. Zoomies to heal him back up. EDG getting picks like this is great, but with a Baron buff wave coming up at 22 minutes, Haro mid, the rest of Rogue Warriors towards the bottom side, this is an early inhibitor for the taking.
Boy, EDG absolutely need to fight for this. This is insane to think that EDG, with such a great start of the season, is now going to be down staring down the barrel of a 3-match losing streak against Rogue Warriors, who haven't won a series before this, haven't even won a game before this.
They want to change that, Clement, because this game is set up for success for them. 9k gold lead against EDG. They've got another Cloud coming up. They've got 2-item Renekton, 3-item Olaf. 2 items now on Holder, who's been picked out twice, and 2 items on there. Xayah down in the bottom lane. Like I said before, the hope is towards iBoy, but you're getting slow item power spikes here from EDG. And you're right, with a start like that in Game 1, who would have expected that EDG Game 2 and Game 3 would be so messy, so out of sorts, that they would be staring down the barrel as you said, of a 3-match losing streak.
And most of this actually happened in the early game as well, which goes to our point that Rogue Warriors that we've seen has actually had very good and convincing early to mid games. It's just the later phase of the game that they sometimes have problems finishing up. But I don't think it's going to happen with this one. I think EDG's only out at this point. You can see the AP being selected for Ezreal is just to get a backline burst on a target and see if that works out. If you look at the itemization, you still don't have a stopwatch or a Zhonya's being placed for Holder, so he's actually a fairly easy target to kill.
They've been playing on that a couple of times now. That was the second time he got picked off, but if he groups with the rest of Rogue Warriors, then you have an equalizer in the middle of a 5-on-5 team fight, and that has been the difference here. Almost taken down iBoy twice with that equalizer amidst the 1v2, the 1v3. Now for Rogue Warriors towards this top side, they want to put the nails in the coffin. They want their first series win, and Clement, they can feel it again.
Yeah, Haro dropping dangerously low, though. iBoy willing to chase him down, and we have to look at the engage options here for Rogue Warriors. It pretty much comes down to Killua to find iBoy.
Oh, equalizer comes down, it's onto iBoy. Zoomies comes through and nicks him in the bud, and he gets down to half health. Now for Rogue Warriors, getting down that inhibitor is going to be key, but Holder pokes down iBoy. He wants a little bit more. Rogue Warriors want the end as the bottom lane minions tunnel in, and they've only got 1 inhibitor left on, and they've got the Nexus turrets that they want to get to.
Very slim chance of Rogue Warriors ever really dropping the ball on this one. I think the next buy Holder, you just get your stopwatch. Everyone stock up on stopwatches. Make sure that no one can actually die in these fights, and you can just go for one big final push. Even if iBoy has enough damage to go through 2 people, he's not going to have enough to kill the entire team.
Very true. Because iBoy, I know you're pointing out the AP there for a second. I'm curious to see how far we've gone. We've got the Lunzeka. That's the only thing I'm going to mention about builds here for EDG.
This is a much higher damage build than just the Blade of the Ruined King. So it gives you more burst potential, and this is what they desperately need, at least to snipe up one of the carries.
Rogue Warriors just putting every nail in this cross.
Look at those stopwatches. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, and we got control wards in there. Clement, you should be an analyst. You're good.
Oh, thank you, sir.
You're going to get tagged on his way out. EDG, small windows where you can find them. Blue buff to the Ezreal means, yep, you might be able to delay that extra wave with the cooldown reduction, but at this point, Rogue Warriors waiting for that next Baron in a minute. They can clear the waves themselves. They can keep getting vision priority, and look at the top and bottom waves. Someone has to deal with that, and Holder has so much wave clear that the waves are going to push in fast.
Now, it's really rare to... It's actually very rare in the LPL to see Rumbles actually grow up successfully.
Yes, our LPL Rumbles suck.
Yeah, I know. They just keep on dying over and over again. We just see the stats there. Only 1 Rumble has managed to win in the LPL.
Is that what it was? 17% out of, so 1 out of what?
It's 1 out of 7 games.
Oh my god.
Yeah, ADD, BLG has tried it, Suning has tried it, and it just doesn't look pretty. It's way too easy to gank in most of the lanes that it's been played in. Now, I know LECL likes to play a lot of Rumbles, but in the LPL just hasn't worked, especially the mid lane priority build. I don't think has ever been a good idea. You do get priority in mid lane matchups like against Aurelia, but they just catch you too easily.
Yeah, shorter lane for the Rumble has always been more successful to a degree, but in quotation marks, of course. So here in the LPL, looking to add another stat with a second win on the cards for the Rumble. Holder has built himself up his 2 items as stated before, but I don't think we're going to see a 3 this game. Baron not being started just yet, but Teleport coming through after being spotted out with the True Shot Barrage. ZWuji comes in, and they want to get the fight instead, and it's Killua who's at the forefront.
All right, now this is EDG's chances, but they need to wait.
Jiejie takes the Dragon Flag. I'm not sure why. He flashes over the wall. iBoy disappears as well. Minions barreling in top and bottom. Rogue Warriors can wait all the time in the world.
Yeah, EDG needs Rogue Warriors to start on the Baron. They still have a Trinket left to check that out. And they need to get a poke steal. Never mind.
I think the bottom lane turret's getting chucked. Here's Baron for you. Rogue Warriors 1 step away. And EDG struggling to defend. They need 3 people.
It's very well defended from Rogue Warriors. They had Alistar on top of the Baron. So even if you could find Jiejie, he was never going to get the flag and drag combo over that wall.
And iBoy left to defend. Moments away from the first series win. It's exciting. Rogue Warriors, while hyped up, a win against EDG would do that. iBoy over the red carpet almost gets burnt to death by the fame involved. Now, the inhibitors are all theirs. And they start barreling with the Baron buff and minion waves at the ready.
We are witnessing history here. Rogue Warriors, a new team organization coming in, and they're showing they have some poke of their own.
This could be the start for EDG on their last legs. Their losing streak looks to continue here as Nexus turret's getting low. Baron minions finally come on in. Dominus popped here by HuaTian. EDG in a bad spot as the Dominus ready to spin to win. It's the House of Batiatus as EDG Jinoo sends himself into the middle. They're looking for that last fight, but ZWuji survives. And in the backside, everyone flashes forward. The glory is all theirs in the arena. The arena against EDG, where they take them home, send them packing 2-1.
Congratulations to Rogue Warriors, their first baby steps into the LPL. This is a team that lost talent after talent, but finally in the summer split, they were able to revitalize their roster, get Haro from EDG, and what a useful purchase, a pickup he has been. He has learned from the master of Clear Love himself and has used his playbook against his old organization. EDG falls again.
Revenge against your old organization. Feels pretty good here for Haro. And it feels good for all of Rogue Warriors who've been striving for not only their first game win that was achieved in this series, but their first win in a series. 1-5, Clement.
That's only 1-4, 1-4.
1-4.
They're not 1-5 yet. You're selling them short a little bit.
But 5 series, excuse me. 1-4. This is the road back to a better Rogue Warriors, but before we talk more about Rogue Warriors, let's touch on EDG and what happened in this series.
Yeah, so for me, EDG had a lot of problems with letting things go. In game 2, that was a Drake they should not have contested. Scout walks straight in with his face, dies, massive snowball in the end of Rogue Warriors. And in the third game, I don't even blame EDG that much. We didn't get to see the full part of the level 1, but if it was indeed Rogue Warriors preemptively clearing out that side and then coming back to trap them, I think that was genius on Rogue Warriors' side. I think that was very well coordinated. It was a great idea, and they punished EDG so hard for that. It is a question, though, if EDG should have began that level 1 against the likes of the Renekton, against the likes of the Olaf. A really risky play to start at that. And afterwards, I felt that that was a play where they needed to actually give up on their blue side.
Yep.
Going back onto their blue side where they didn't have a flash on Scout especially, and having him as the point man made no sense. He instantly just died a second time, and Renekton was 2-0 up.
And you could say, sorry to interrupt, it was a point of like Scout once again picking that Aurelia matchup where this time he was definitely into a bad lane.
Yes, he was in a very, very bad situation. And look at the impacts on Jiejie. You think about the first rotation for Jiejie, he lost a buff, a camp, and then his second buff, and then more camps after that. Yep. So I don't even blame him this much. None of his lanes were solidly ahead. He couldn't gank until 6 until the top side, and 1-5, 8-5 is kind of funny. But that's what happens.
Yeah, that's right. It was a rough journey for EDG, and through another loss in the series, a lot of questions as to how their progress is going to look going towards playoffs. I mean, you said it yourself, we're almost half the way towards the journey of playoffs again for another split.
Yeah, it definitely is the case. And if you think about EDG in the last split around, they had that miraculous run at the end of it where Clear Love came back and they were clinched it in, I think, the final week or the second to final week.
Like that, yeah.
They don't want to do this again. They're already sitting at 50% in the match score right now, which doesn't look great. They had a very strong early start, but the mistakes that are happening from EDG are also very EDG-esque mistakes. It's when they're playing teams that they feel like they should win, they tend to play a little bit loose. They tend to play a little bit more, their shot calling seems to be more headstrong and just set on bullying over the enemy team. And a lot of times their comps don't have secondary options that allow them to walk out of the situation.
But it's been a trend since the IG series. I feel like the IG series broke them because
the Shy broke them.
Because game one was EDG's, and that should have been their series. We're like, hey, IG aren't playing well, then EDG walk head first and make this ridiculous play that you go, this is not EDG, but it also is EDG. We've seen that ever since. We've seen them falling and tripping over themselves. And there needs to be a question, there needs to be more investigation as to what's actually happening within the internal structure. Or
I would say mainly just the shot calling. I think their own estimation on the level of mechanics and what fights they can take just through their own power is not matching with reality. And this is the funny thing about LPL. Like, different teams will read different team fight situations differently. It might be the exact same team fight situation where they have the same comps, the same engage, but they will say, our chances of winning here are very different. And EDG, right now, they have like an extra plus 15% than what reality actually gives them. So
we win this.
And they walk into like, you really don't.
So, like, the estimation is definitely very high from Scout. Probably about an extra 15 on top of the 15%.
I'd say maybe 20.
So, like, it was a surprise to me that for Scout, who played so well in Game 2 in the 2v2, outplayed, like, beautiful sidestepping flash from the barrel roll, and then walks face first into Dragon. Like, there's a switch that just gets turned off in the same game, 5 minutes apart. How?
I don't know. This is also very Scout, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they fix it. It's been a recurring issue with them. It's just when you play a tempo game, you don't play it cleanly enough, then it's very difficult to come back.
I want to bring up. I've got the level 1 fight for you guys because we're going to break this down a little bit and see what actually happened, Clement. So it's up to you.
Okay. So the most important thing here is that EDG actually walk over a ward which was not scanned. I don't know where they used their scanner exactly, but they did not find that brush ward, and Rogers had full vision of a 4-man coming into their own side of the jungle and walking out as well.
I think you leave it from here, right? Like, you know you lose the blue buff. Where's the Jarvan? He can either go red, go the enemy blue. Like, what's your take?
I don't think the Jarvan should come back. You should leave it to iBoy to just poke this one out. The Kennen has to come back as well, which is a huge loss at this point. And I want to see how Scout actually engages this one. Scout should be the one that is most careful in this engage. He has no flash up. And let's watch his pathing right here. He actually turns around the bend. He doesn't know there's a ward here. So he actually stays here, takes a lot of damage from HuaTian. He can still get out of this. Like, he can still get out. Like, Jiejie, it's not too late for you. You still have a good journey ahead of you. They have no vision there. Level 2 onto Olaf. And what do you think is going to happen? He has he has blue buff. So infinite undertows as well, and he just falls down.
And it's like, here's a redemption kill for iBoy. And that's what made iBoy such a threat towards the game, but like, he never got to the point where he was going to overtake that game and overtake the rest of Rogue Warriors. So sad to see that for EDG, that small little window, that mistake, you know.
The most important thing is you always want to walk out the path you came in, because you scan your way in, you can't scan your way out.
But like, you lose first blood, just leave it, let it go. Go somewhere else. Like, Jiejie can, I don't know, maybe I'm nitpicking, but
that was a clear little loop around, but they called everything to the bot side. And in fact, the reason that they did that was also because they had the Yuumi pick in the bot side. They didn't want that to become the weak side on the map, and half what happened in Game 2 happened to them in Game 3. So the shocking decision making, I think sometimes you just need to take the L. You take the L and you move on. You know, my predictions have been absolutely horrible. I take the L and I live with myself.
Oh, actually, all of us went EDG on this one. I just realized all of us actually went EDG.
I'm sorry, Rogue Warriors. You guys are great.
You know, this is what happens. Everyone went the same predictions. this week, and boy, have they already started.
But I'm glad to see Rogue Warriors show some signs of life.
Me too.
Yeah, that makes
what I've been
so
waiting
much
for. You remember me coming into the office and being like, man, Rogue Warriors should be a top 8 team. They should be, because on paper, Haro and Holder are just those kind of players. HuaTian's playing better. ZWuji after what we saw last season. And Killua is still a great support. And even Huang Gai, old man, is good as well.
He's not actually.
He's 25. He's an old man. But
He's not actually
on paper,
okay.
On paper, Rogue Warriors look like a top 8 team.
They're very close. They're very close.
At least very close.
I don't think they trump LNG and BLG for me.
Okay. All right.
If you put out the playoff picture and then you put BLG and LNG there, you're like, I'm not sure they actually get it there.
That's a large discussion. But like, we can agree that they should be doing better than they are at the
I think they're within 10.
And that's why this win against EDG gets them going. So good news for Rogue Warriors. Well played in that second and third game for a 2-1 victory. Haro gets MVP of that game, and dare I say that game 2 and game 3.
Well done again. And I really want to say his axe chaining was
beautiful.
Yes,
27% is huge for an 27 for a jungle, even if it's an OLAP, is massive.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. His build was Black Cleaver, Warriors, and then a BF sword to start.
And he got a and then he's like, I'll get a GA, I may as well.
Which is pretty damn funny. Now, just going over the team fights in this game. This is from the series. Again, you see EDG. This is the third game where this is a situation where they were beat. They didn't want to admit defeat. They went in anyway. Yeah, I don't think that was ever going to work out. Level 1 was great from Haro. He got the flash Q undertow onto 3 people on the second one. Now, this is obviously a different replay, but it shows you his decision-making on getting those mechanics in and being willing to use those resources on the right moments.
And part of the reason why Olaf is constantly banned in the LPL.
Yes.
We know how powerful it is. 9.11, remember, and this champion is just like unstoppable. Especially with the LPL playstyle on how we revolve around early skirmishes, snowballing the lanes. Because that's what this series was. Heavy snowballs, key off mistakes, and building up those massive advantages in the early game.
There are very, very few comebacks in the LPL. They're basically non-existent.
And the ones that do it sometimes are IG. Wasn't EDG this time.
No, wasn't. So I think early mid-game meta is still where it's at, and you have to be very, very careful in these early skirmishes. I think that's what EDG need to fine-tune a little bit more. And Rogue Warriors, I would like to see them pull more of these fun compositions. You know, if you have a lot of issues in mid-late game, just go for a composition that's unbeatable in the early game. Renekton and Olaf. What possibly beats that? That's insane.
Like Renekton mid, once again we see it this time on HuaTian, and HuaTian had a great showing.
There's no answers to Renekton mid, none that we've seen actually.
Because if you pick Aurelia, you're like, oh crap, going into Renekton is your nightmare.
Yeah, you probably only have like maybe Nico mid or something that works well.
But even then, you're like, that can be outplayed to a degree.
Yeah,
right?
It's very easy to gank, and in most matchups, Renekton at the very least is going to have priority early game. So we're going to see more of that. You can have Doinby.
It's good to see Rogue Warriors in somewhat of a commanding position. Looking forward to their next matchup and see if this can roll on. However, that's it for us here today. Let's take a closer look at standings because, yeah, that just happened. EDG right down to 8th.
Woo. Going to that 50% once more. They're still having a little bit of bonuses from their early 2-0 victories, but that can dissipate very soon. Now, taking a look at what the spots I'm most concerned about is like from 7th to 10th. These are the spots that I believe will be contesting for playoffs, will be pushing for playoffs most heavily. Suning and BLG are within that range, and they have a great shot at it this split, even though they didn't make it in spring.
And don't forget our biggest surprises here are teams like WE, Dominus are last. Like, these are playoff teams from spring, and already they're not starting off too well. WE now in line with Rogue Warriors after that win. In fact, Rogue Warriors have one less loss because they haven't played as many games as WE.
And both of these teams, we have to mention that they do have things in common. Team fight-oriented, big AD carry type of teams. We saw them falling out of favor in playoffs with itself, and it's only continuing this trend.
The one thing that went normal tonight, Clement, was LNG versus LGD, and LNG now second. 5-1. Do you want to be a Snake fan? Tell us later. It's LNG now, by the way, but this is what's happening. Week 5, day number 3. Now, remember, this is tomorrow. You have to catch this on Huya and Doyu. Vici versus DMO and V5 at FBX.
Close games for DMO. This is a must-win for them, and when we come back into the LPL English broadcast, IG versus Jiejie Gaming, your finals rematch. The Shy, Zoom, That's going to be an intense series.
This is our Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. Set your clocks. Don't miss it. Even top esports WE should be good. Because if we're talking team fight, if we're talking about teams that were in playoffs last time, well, top esports, Rift Rivals. This will be their last series before they go to Rift Rivals. Same with IG and JDG. Fancy them going up against each other before they go against LMS and the LCK.
Yeah, and also don't forget the VCS, which will be joining in with us this time as well. 3 of your representatives on Saturday. If you want to scout our region out, that's the best day to
No thanking
LPL.
Mr. Buffalo in that one. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me across the 3 days and, of course, across the English broadcast. Big thank you to Mr. Clement Chu. Our production team here at Dominion will be back next Saturday for our match of the week. Don't miss it. Set your clocks. It's bye for now, but not forever.